After recently rereading this article by Roger Yates from back in March, I thought it was too telling and poignant to not narrate and share with everybody. It starts with a quote by Clive Hollands. There should be no misunderstanding about the enormous task facing the animal rights movement across the world as it tries first to change in the public's mind the concept of kindness to animals to that of animal rights, and then gain the support of the great silent majority for a cause which provides no apparent material advantages for the human species, indeed a cause which may disadvantage humans financially as well as in other ways. Almost 40 years later, the global animal rights movement has failed miserably in carrying out this task. It has failed in the first task and not even started the second. One may suggest that things were even worse now than they were in 1985. In the 1980s, for example, movement slogans such as "animals have rights" were prevalent. Tom Reagan, the author in 1983 of the groundbreaking The Case for Animal Rights, was being listened to before the animal welfare movement marginalised him and effectively silenced him. In the 21st century, the animal movement remains utterly bogged down in the language of animal welfare, not even bothering to pay any attention to the enormous task Holland saw ahead of us in the mid-1980s. Most people in the modern animal rights movement have no idea who Tom Reagan is, let alone how to make the case for animal rights. Instead, animal advocates seem to think that animal rights involves pointing to graphic images and calling out the cruelty and abuse they portray. Look at the language of any organisation, large or small, old or new, or any of the vegan influencers. Their language is drenched in welfarism. They sound little different to how the RSPCA sounds, apart from the Go Vegan tags they include. What is the main language of the animal rights movement in 2024? It's RSPCA language. Don't be cruel, have mercy, don't abuse other animals, be an animal lover. I was more than disappointed to see, only last week, end of February 24, that the main message of an Irish animal rights display was vegan is a state of kind. This is a distortion of the meaning of veganism, at least as laid out by those who founded the vegan social movement in the 1940s. Be kind to others is another RSPCA slogan. In 1996, in Rain Without Thunder, The Ideology of Animal Rights Movement, law professor Gary Francione wrote, "The need to distinguish animal rights from animal welfare is clear, not only because of the theoretical inconsistencies between the two positions, but also because the most ardent defenders of institutionalised animal exploitation themselves endorse animal welfare. In these terms, things are getting worse and not better. Clive Holland's enormous task is simply not happening in the animal movement. A Go Vegan label slapped onto an animal welfare message causes confusion for people who are brought up in societies saturated in the norms, values and attitudes of cultural speciesism. There is no obvious or immediate moral connection between the welfare language of the movement and the public coming to the conclusion that they should go vegan. As ever, their socialised commitment to animal welfarism simply means that the public solution is to eliminate the animal cruelty and the animal abuse, which they already oppose and which our language suggests is our main priority too. These have welfarist thoughts without thinking. They must oppose animal exploitation and use, the animal rights message." Now, I hear people that do this every single day, and I'm sure that the vast majority of them don't do it intentionally and would probably be quite offended if they realised that what they were actually doing was begging others to exploit with kindness instead of advocating for animal rights to be respected. And I totally also understand that a huge proportion of this comes from the NGOs and big name influencers. However, you are all your own individuals capable of making up your own mind, and so if you can see some dilution to this message, or you can see the fact that this doesn't actually support your claim and where you stand, stop repeating it.